And we said, let's compare with the population of certain countries. And we found that just are rejected from going to higher education could create 10 countries that were producing significant GDP. So that was important. Now, at that time, one of the things that I did say is that, that if we were faced with this, where even in terms of passing the exams, only out of every 7, only 1 would pass. So 6 failed. It was questioning our investment in education. This just tells you the story of the poor state of physical infrastructure. We've got a whole book on this. I took it with me to this. Just 1 more minute? All right. So we looked at this, and then this is what we ended up with. We called it, at this last slide, if I got 2 more minutes to that one, it would enable me to show this slide. Do you want me to show this slide? So we showed something that we had something we call the funnel syndrome, meaning that it was, the whole education system had become like a funnel. And so you had all these people from secondary school. At that time, an average of 1.2 million children would graduate secondary school annually. And then they would enter the funnel, and then you would see a little number of them drop into the box that's the university, and then they would be trained in the university, and then they would go into the marketplace, and the marketplace would say, we really don't recognize this product, and the product would be thrown back into the warehouse. So we have this warehouse syndrome that was going on, So we then said then that, in essence, we're producing less and less of our leaders of tomorrow, the managers, the entrepreneurial class, the teachers, the doctors, the policymakers, the law enforcement officers, the professionals. And ladies and gentlemen, at that time, 7 years ago, we said a significant youth population of the kind of girls you saw there, we had started producing. I'm sure you know what that represents, right? Yeah, girls of easy virtue, okay? Traveling to all parts of the world. I don't know whether you see them, as I do see them. When I go around the world a lot. We have lost a lot of our young women to this. They are coming from the dysfunction in education. A significant youth population of those doing the internet thing. How embarrassing it gets when you're introduced to a person and he says, oh, so you're from the country that sent me that letter? It's a dysfunction in education that caused it, okay? We said a significant youth population of those, okay? A significant youth population of hardened criminals. And then we said, if we did nothing, at that time, we said, if we did nothing, by 2020, we may have a significant population of highly trained, skilled, and motivated criminals. So, ladies and gentlemen, we were not hoping to be bearers of bad news at that time. We were simply calling attention to the poor state of affairs. One of the things we did, and this is where I take my leave, was that we focused. We focused on getting the warehouse emptied through an education tracking asset for progress initiative. We did a survey to track and find all those who had been graduates over a period of 10 years and to know what they were doing. The information that came back enabled us to build partnership with the private sector. This is the analysis. When you get it, you can look at it. But at that time, 52% were unemployed, and many others were underemployed. The private sector worked with us. This is part of what happened. We got a sample in order to understand the skills gap issue in a deeper way and to find the significant solutions, both on the public sector side and the private sector side, to deal with it. And then the high impact strategies were talked about. And then, of course, we said that in the long run, what we wanted to do was to build an intelligent society. Other than this matter of bridging the skills gap through this mechanism, there are two things that you must take away as education for what purpose. Number one is that we have a catching up to do that is serious if we're ever going to compete globally. And that catching up can be difficult except you're strategic. The fastest way to do a catching up now is to make early child care education, put it on the front burner of the education system. Countries like Finland have shown clearly that countries that emphasize early child care education and expand access to it to both the poor and the rich alike bridge the inequality gap, and they begin the process of getting the child before they ever go bad. At that level of 2 to 3 years, the neurons are most stimulated for knowledge. And then the last thing, the third thing is that the public sector and the private sector must work together in the kind of program. We put together a program called the Vocational Enterprise Institutions and the Innovation Enterprise Institutions. They are all in this slide. When you read them, you would see how we basically brought the private sector straight into the whole business of building skills. Government has never had a great record for building skills for industry. Industry coming into it meant that we had to play our own role. And that is why the National Board for Technical Education has a qualification certification level that is National Diploma in Innovation and Vocational Studies. And it is led by the industry. Let me say something. It is good you're here today. Education needs intelligent champions. If society fails to generate the intelligent champions for education, well, the intelligent champions themselves would have acted in the most less intelligent way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ezekwesili, for that brilliant performance. You can see that Dr. Ezekwesili is extremely passionate about education, and it resonates with every time she speaks about it. So she's definitely somebody that is an asset to Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please give her another round of applause for that brilliant performance.